house. We got to go down to Florida. Cedric Henry, what's up, man? Man, you blinded me. What's that TB stand for? Tom Brady? Is that what that stands
for? Nope. Look, this one is blue. It stands for Tampa Bay Rays, baby. We 2-0 up against Houston right now in the American League.
Hold that thought,
LCS.
Man. Hold on a second. Since you said blue, let me bring Aundrae Russell in the house. Aundrae, show him what blue looks like.
You call me, man? Huh? You call me. You know, we got them in all color, but it's still Dodger blue, Dodger black, whatever. You call me? Huh? Did you call me, or did you call the Lakers, who the recent champions, to the call? I wasn't sure which one you called, Cedric. Which one you called?
Man. Oh, Lord. Well, first of all, before we even get started, we gotta do something right quick. Especially with starting baseball. Joe Morgan is gone, man. Man, Aundrae, I mean, have you noticed we lost Bob Gibson already? I mean, we lost some legends just in 2020 for baseball. Joe Morgan, 77 years old. What could you say about that big red machine for Cincinnati, man?
You know what? I was going to bring it up, Cedric, if you didn't. Joe Morgan, in my opinion, first of all, he and Bob Gibson, two of my favorite baseball players of all time. They made recently I sat down and made my all-time baseball team. And of course, they both were on there. Joe Morgan is the best second baseman ever in baseball history, in my opinion. Joe Morgan was amazing. He could hit, he could field, he could steal bases, he could run. And he was one of the leaders of that big red machine in the 70s. So he's sorely going to be missed. And he was just an amazing guy in front office. It's unfortunate that he never got a chance to manage a baseball team. And he wanted to do that at one point. But you know how this color thing is. He never got an opportunity to run a team, but he still had a great career, even as a broadcaster.
Yes, he did. Sid, what you want to say about him?
Hey, man, I'm just going to piggyback off of what was said. You know, great broadcaster. He broadcast for ESPN for a number of years. Just knew the game inside and out. A big piece of the big red machine. Of course, there was Johnny Bench. I mean, you look back, it was Bench, Perez, Rose. I mean, countless players, man. But the staple of it was those guys hustled. Those guys played Concepcion. And when you look at what the Cincinnati Reds were back then, I mean, they went out and they just dog you. They beat you on every level of baseball. They stole bases. They hit. They played small ball. They hit to. I mean, it was just unbelievable. They could do the long ball, but they could also beat you in small ball as well.
But check this out. Just in 2020, we lost Al Killeen, Tom Seaver, Lou Brock, Bob Gibson, and Whitey Ford.
Wow. Tom Seaver was he was my first, well, along with Willie Mays, my first favorite baseball player when I was a kid. I loved Seaver and the amazing Mets. And you know who was on that pitching staff with Tom Seaver when he was great and the Mets won? Nolan Ryan was a young pitcher on that staff. But yeah, I was a big fan of Tom Seaver. And Lou Brock, almost like we said about Joe Morgan, one of the greatest base stealers of all time.
Yeah. And you know, was Sparky Anderson their manager during that time period?
Yes,
Now, you know we know about Tommy Lasorda, but Sparky Anderson, woo!
Oh, yeah. He had the big red machine, baby. Like Cedric said, man, that big red machine wasn't no joke. They had an amazing everyday lineup. The pitching staff, to me, wasn't dominant, but it was good enough to win all those World Series. But they had that great everyday lineup, you know, with Rose, Concepcion, Morgan, Perez, Cesar Geronimo. They just had a great team.
Was Ken Griffey Sr. part of that team too as well, or he came a little after them?
A little bit after that.
He did, didn't he?
Yeah, a little bit after that.
I would say this, man, but you know, I listened to radio. Before we could watch it on TV, you listened to it on the radio back there in that time period. And they made you actually feel like you were a part of the game, man. And so, you know, baseball, you know, I mean, I still watch Chadwick Boseman in the movie 42, but the guy said in the movie, he said they're going to take over. And you know what? We definitely took over the game, man.
No doubt. No doubt.
Wow. Well, listen, while we're talking baseball, I'll get this over with. So, Sid, tell us what happened between Houston and then, Aundrae, I'm going to ask you to give us an update between the Dodgers. Because they're in Texas, man. They're playing at Globe Life Park, right? Is that where they're playing at?
Yeah.
Where's the Houston game at? Where's it at? in Tampa Bay. That's a
It's in Petco in San Diego.
They're
San
out here
Diego.
they're 100 miles from me down the road in San Diego.
so isn't that kind of crazy? So LA got to go
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
you know why? Because they built the brand new field, Globe Life Park, man. You know, so you know, so the commissioner said. But let's hear about Tampa Bay and Houston, man, because we forgot also Dusty Baker. He is the manager of Houston. Who's done a fine job. But Tampa Bay, they did the big thing. You know what they did? They knocked off the Yankees.
I know.
Tell me about Tampa Bay while you got
Well,
it.
the Yankees in Tampa Bay, they play every year because they're part of the American League East. But Tampa Bay has always had the Yankees number. No matter how great the Yankees are, they have a hard time getting over Tampa Bay when they're playing them. So this year, during the regular season, Tampa Bay took 9 out of 11 from the Yankees in Tampa and in the Yankee Stadium. So when they played them for the 5th game, of course, Tampa Bay won 2-1. They stepped up yesterday and they beat the Astros 2-1. And today they beat them 4-2. And, when you as a pitcher make a mistake, because these guys are baseball players. They're professional baseball players. They hit the baseball. If you leave a pitch too high, they will make you pay. And that's what happened in the bottom of the first inning. Margot, outfielder for the Rays, took McCullers over center field wall. And, of course, the Rays are scoring with people on base. Houston is not scoring. They're hitting home runs, but the home runs, nobody's on base, so that one run just counts. And Correa took them over the wall today. They were able to score another run, but then Zunino, the catcher for Tampa Bay, came up and hit a single home run, and that put them up. That gave them the extra run back that Correa took away. So right now, Tampa Bay is up 2-0 on Houston. Houston beat them last year to go to the World Series. And today they left, you would not believe this, but they left, I think it was like 11 runners on base.
Wow.
They were up, it was like top of the ninth, bases loaded, and they couldn't score.
Wow. Well, guess what?
They turned a double play on them.
Dusty will get them ready.
They turned a double play on them, and the game was over.
Wow. Aundrae, what do you think about this series there before we get ready to
But you know what? Full disclosure, I'm a Yankee fan. I love baseball, so I love the Braves. I have about 4 or 5 teams in Major League Baseball. I even like both. I like the Chicago Cubs, the Chicago White Sox, the Braves, the Dodgers, and the Yankees. Now, the Yankees, like Cedric said, Tampa has their number, man. Tampa has their number. And it's crazy because the Yankees have the highest payroll in Major League Baseball, and Tampa's payroll is about 1/4 of the Yankees' payroll. And they don't even have a lot of big-name stars, but they do such a great job scouting and coaching. And look what they did. They took the Yankees out, like you said, 11, I think 9 out of 11 games this year.
So who's the manager of Tampa Bay now?
What's his name, Cedric? I couldn't even tell you the guy's name off the top of my head.
Kevin Cash.
Yeah. And
they do a lot of what Joe Madden do. They do a lot of shift playing. So, I think he learned that from Joe Madden, and they have the shift on. And you wouldn't believe, Houston was hitting bullets. Darts. And these guys didn't have to move. The ball came directly to them. And they were able to, they killed Houston's confidence. Dusty right now is like, I don't know. We got to figure out a way to get some runs in the game. But, like you say, you're a Yankees fan, you're a Braves fan. I'm also, I have 2 or 3 teams. I hate the Cubs didn't make it.
Yeah.
That was hard for me. That was hard for me when the Cubs didn't make it. I just sat there and I watched the Marlins, and I was like, everybody was on Derek Jeter when he started unloading the team, Stanton and everybody, and they were like, man, the Marlins are going to be anything. And of course they got COVID when the season started.
Right.
And who would have thought they would go into Chicago and knock off the Cubs, man?
But they are so sound fundamentally. That's what sets this Tampa team up. They're definitely going to be in the World Series. And I'm sure it's going to be against the Dodgers, even though I might, to be honest with you, rather see the Braves. But they're playing right now. The Braves are up 1-0 early in the game. But that's going to be a pretty good series. But I think the Dodgers will prevail. I think it's going to be Tampa and the Dodgers.
Let me go back to something because you talked about the Marlins. You being a Yankees fan, what do you think about the job Derek Jeter has done as a manager?
Oh, I think he's doing a good job, man. I think he had to start at the bottom. You know, he got rid of everybody, and they had to rebuild from the bottom up. They couldn't afford the high payroll because their attendance is terrible down in Miami. But I think he's doing a good job, actually. I mean, I never would have thought they'd have made it as far as they made it this year. So I think he's doing a good job. I think he started at the bottom, and he's building them up and trying to build up the farm system again. That's
good news. So now let's talk about the Dodgers and the Braves. What do you see in that series?
Man, the Braves pitching has blown my mind. I never, they all year they had injuries to the starters and everybody, who they going to get to pitch. And lately these guys have been lights out. They haven't getting up a run in forever. They're pitching great. Now, I don't think it's going to be able to last through the Dodgers. To be honest with you, the Dodgers are really loaded. But the Braves, if they can hit a little bit, you never know. They might scare the Dodgers. I just don't see them beating them in a 7-game series, but you never know.
Did they say that World Series is going to go also to Arlington, the Globe Life Park too as well? And yes. They will have fans? Or how are they doing with the fans? How's the commissioner? How's he doing that?
It's just a limited number of fans from what I understand. It can only be a select number of fans at the games, and they have to be scattered out.
Wow.
Like what you're seeing in the NFL, a few teams are doing now. They can have a few fans, but they have to be separated.
I don't think Jerry got the memo down in Texas, though. We'll talk about football.
That's another story.
That's a whole other story. But, it's like I just left Las Vegas, and I saw that beautiful stadium out there, man. When you ride by there off the interstate, you can't help but see that stadium. It looks like Darth Vader in a big old spaceship right there. So it's off the chain. And I was asking the people there, where are you going to go ahead and do all the parking? Well, they got that covered. You'll be doing a lot of shuttle services. So those Uber drivers and the cabbies will definitely be getting people in. They'll have the businesses around that'll be selling and everything. And you just got to pay just to park and then get a ride in there. So it's all about the game. But do you think the impact now are the fans? What are you hearing? Because you got friends that work for the LA Times. What are they saying to you, Aundrae, about people watching the game? How are they making money now during this time period?
Well, the main money being made now is not from attendance, is not from revenue of fans. It's been made, of course, they want to pay these bills with the TV. But the network money is where everybody's making money. They wanted to give the networks a chance to show the games and then the sponsors to show their commercials. And that's the money being made right now. Of course, it was very important for the NBA and the same with the NFL to get these games on television. The fans, that's gravy. If they can make that money, fine. But they get money from the concessions and selling food and all that and selling some beer. But the main thing is that TV money. And that's what everybody's getting to make right now.
Yeah, it's definitely working. And I like how, because Zoom is everybody's friend. How many Zoom sessions are you doing now, Aundrae? How many Zoom sessions are you doing?
Oh, man, all the time. All the time. At least one a day somewhere, not 2 or 3. You know what I mean?
What about you, Sid? How about you, man? You've been doing a lot of them? Because you can also use it to check on family members at the hospital or so.
Yeah.
I've been doing Zoom meetings, at least 2 a day. One with an Alzheimer's class I'm taking. But other than that, just keeping it. That's the only way you can communicate right now. And a lot of people don't realize it, but that's going to be the future right now.
All right. So I got 1 minute left. So Aundrae, who you got in the World Series? Who's the 2 teams and who's going to win it? I
got the Dodgers and Tampa Bay. And of course, the guy who runs the Dodgers used to run Tampa Bay, so they'll have that angle to work with. I'm saying the Dodgers.
All right. And what about you, Sid?
Don't answer. I got Tampa and the Braves. I think the Braves got enough to. I think the Braves pitching is a little bit better than the Dodgers. As far as closers, I don't know. Jansen is a little suspect right now. I think he's not too sure of himself. And Dave Roberts, I don't think Dave is giving him enough confidence. I don't know what it is, but I just think that the Braves bats, man. I mean, when you look at Albies, you look at Freeman, you look at Acuna Jr. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
All right.
I love the Braves lineup. I really do. I'd like to see them go there. The one thing I'll throw in, though, the Dodgers and Tampa, both teams are really high on analytics. So they pay attention to analytics. And the thing with the Dodgers, they have a whole analytics department with all that money they have. And they say Kenley Jansen's fastball had lost a lot of zip. So that's why he's declining. They're scared to use him in certain situations. He's not throwing sometimes he's only throwing 89, 90 miles an hour now.
All right. Well, listen, we're going to take a quick break. You're checking out Sports in the Mix here on the Big Game Christian Sports Network. The crew, Cedric Henry's hanging out. Aundrae Russell's in the house. We're calling off all death threats right now. If you sent Danny Green a death threat, you need to call it off right now. We'll tell you about why we're calling them off right after this here on the Big Game Christian Sports Network. We'll be right back. Let me stop the tape right quick. With the crew, I am Cedric Bailey, along with the one and only Aundrae Russell and Cedric Henry in the house. Man, you knew it was coming, but first, before I get something, when you heard about the death threats, Aundrae, what can you tell me why these folks are on now? Danny Green could always hit a shot. Was that his best shot? It seemed like they threw the game because they had – wait, was it Marquise Morris or Anthony Davis? What happened in Game 5 to lead to Game 6, man?
You know, it seemed like they weren't trying to win the doggone game, to be honest with you. It seemed like they were just going through the motions that night. They didn't seem like they were really focused, maybe knowing that, hey, we got a cushion. If we lose tonight, we got a couple more games. But they didn't play that well at all. Even the coaching was off to me. Whether it was by design or not, I don't know. I've been around the NBA a long time, and I still sometimes in that conspiracy guy to say, man, did they try to lose that game on purpose? You know,
think about it, man, because LeBron had the ball. He inbounded it. It was 16 seconds left. He was dribbling the ball around. It's like he didn't want the shot. Said Henry, I see you look in your face. I see you.
And, you know, he threw it back out to Danny Green. Danny's hit that shot many times before during his championship run with San Antonio, during his championship run last year with Toronto. And he left that one real short. So I don't know, man. I don't know. They just didn't play well at all. They
and had the Mamba jerseys on. But see, the people in Vegas out there at the casinos, they didn't care. They put their money up on the table. Said, talk to me.
You know, I guess the play that they drew up, it was kind of confusing. LeBron threw it back out. Danny Green is a catch and shoot player. He is not a guy that can dribble the basketball and then pick the dribble up and then shoot. So his rhythm was off. He doesn't shoot from the top of the key a lot. He shoots from the side in the corner. And you know, you sat there and I watched him, and he left it short because that's not his length. He doesn't shoot from that particular angle. Mm-hmm. So a straightaway shot for him was a bad shot. But Morris got the rebound, and then he threw a crazy pass he saw AD flash. And when he saw him flash, I guess he thought he was going to stay there and post, but threw the ball over his head, out of bounds. And like Aundrae said, they just did not look like they wanted the game. LeBron wanted the game. Everybody else did not really act like they wanted the game, because I tell you what, I've seen players battle. Like I remember when Isaiah on one leg against the Lakers, and I mean, ankle just tore to pieces, and he put on a show. And you sit there and you watch LeBron and Butler go back and forth. I mean, that was classic right there, man. You don't get that in NBA basketball anymore. Right. You know, I mean, you're going tit for tat. It's like everybody else, step away, step on the other side of the floor. We're gonna battle, and to me it was entertaining, and it might have been one of the best. It was actually better than the series last year between Golden State and Toronto, because Golden State lost so many players and they were hurt. Yeah. But I tell you what, you won't find another series go down like that in the NBA Finals for a long time. And I tell you what Miami did was they solidified themselves in being a stopping point for any superstar that wants to play basketball and play it the right way.
I'll tell you
they
something.
Put their vote out there. I don't know if
No, I'm sorry. I was just going to say I picked the Miami Heat. I picked the Miami Heat to win the East because I think they're loaded with great young talent, and they got the best shooters in the NBA. They shoot probably better than the Golden State Warriors, because the Warriors only had 2 or 3 guys that was hitting all those threes. And man, look at this team. Miami's loaded with young three-point shooters. They're going to be tough for a long time. And like you said, Cedric, a lot of veterans are going to want to go play there because they know that's a good team. And Pat Riley does a great job of putting teams together. He's probably only second to Jerry West as far as being able to put together a basketball team.
Yeah, they got the best. I think it would have been a little bit different if Dragic had been able to play, but he was hurt. And then Jimmy Butler, man, he laid it all out, man. He just couldn't do it by himself. Lakers had too many superstars. Now, let's talk about this. Who gets credit for this? Now, I know you've been talking about it. Magic Johnson. This was his plan. But it all came down to the deal of getting AD. And then, the manager, the guy that's their agent who handles all these guys, he brought 6 players on there. 2 of them, I'm trying to figure out why this knucklehead is even on the team and why he's taking his shirt off when he didn't play.
J.R. Smith. So listen, that was all about LeBron, Rich Paul. That's, LeBron's company more or less. And yeah, they were doing LeBron a favor. It started because Magic Johnson and me are close. I've been, just today, Magic reminded me of what he had said a few years ago. But Magic was the one that really put this team together. He was the architect that started it when he got LeBron to come. But the year prior, he got Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. They overpaid him $21 million a year as a goodwill gesture to LeBron. They say, okay, we got one of your guys here. We paid him $21 million. He probably ain't worth $2 million, but we're going to expect you to come next year. They already had a little wink deal in effect. Sure enough, the next year LeBron came and they re-signed Kentavious Caldwell-Pope again for $18 million. He probably was worth $1 million. And now this year he's been playing for less. This year he's been playing for somewhere near $12 million. So it's Magic Johnson got all that started. He was the one got LeBron, and then they knew if they got LeBron, they were going to get Anthony Davis because Rich Paul had already told Magic, now I'm going to tell you another player they had in line to come. But once Magic quit, once he got mad with the organization, he quit. Kawhi Leonard was signed, sealed, and delivered. And then when Magic quit, Kawhi got nervous and said, whoa, what's going on? And the Lake organization seemed chaotic for a minute, and Kawhi went elsewhere, went across town. But no, I give Magic all the credit in the world.
How mad were the Clipper fans because they didn't get a chance to get that matchup between the Clippers and the Lakers? How mad were they?
Oh, they were devastated, man. The Clippers, they don't have nearly the fans the Lakers have because the Lakers got all 17 championships. But the Clippers have a lot of diehard fans out here, and it's almost like you're either a Clipper fan or a Laker fan. There's no. I don't see why people can't like both teams, but they only like one or the other. It seems like I know very few people that like both teams. I like them both, but I know very few people that like them both. Nevertheless, Clipper fans, they were hurt, man. Some of them were cutting up their jerseys and doing stuff like that. I'm like, wow. So yeah, they were devastated. And then now that Doc is gone, it's going to be interesting to see who they bring in to coach him and what direction the Clippers take now to try to stay in the mix. They're going to change up some of the players.
Did Steve Ballmer pull the plug too soon?
Personally, I think so, but a couple of the players didn't like Doc, and I think they talked to the players, and once how it is nowadays when the players say they don't like a guy, they'll make a move.
Was it playoff Paul? PG?
I don't know.
Is that we call it, right? Is that we to the players?
Playoff Paul. It wasn't Kawhi, I tell you that. Kawhi liked Doc. It wasn't that. But some of the guys complained, and a lot of people in the Clippers analytics department complained that Doc didn't do certain moves. They thought that he played Montrezl Harrell too much over Ivica Zubac in that series. And they were talking about, look at the analytics. Doc doesn't pay attention to analytics. His coaching is old school style. So that's why it's going to be interesting to see who the Clippers bring in, because they want somebody that's going to deal with analytics and coach from that standpoint. I don't know if that's Tyronn Lue or not, So I know they're bringing in a lot of people like Mike Brown. It's even been rumors that they call Phil Jackson to see if he's interested in coming, back.
Wow. What you say about that?
Wow.
Man?
It's going to be real interesting to see who they bring in, man, because I don't think it's going to be Tyronn personally, but because that's Doc's boy, and they might think his coaching style is too much like Doc's. But it's going to be interesting to see who they settle on. I think the perfect person, and I told him this, Mark Jackson. I think Mark Jackson would be perfect to come in there and try to do what he did with the Warriors. But for some reason, it seems like low-key, Mark Jackson is blackballed from the NBA for what went on in Golden State. Nobody will give him a shot. He's interviewing for all these jobs, and nobody's hiring him.
That's Jerry West. That's Wes. Him and Wes got into it because Wes was a consultant for the front office of the Golden State Warriors, and when they lost in that second round, Jerry West was like, "Look, we're playing the wrong type of basketball," and Jackson was like, "Nope, we're not." And so that was when Steph was getting all the shots up.
Yeah.
And so they had a falling out, and that's when they said, okay, we're going to bring Steve Kerr in. He didn't want to play the type of ball that this team is built for. Then we need to bring somebody else in. And from that point on, Steve Kerr has already said, this team didn't need anything but a few tweaks. I didn't do anything. These guys are already playing hard for Mark Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree with you. I don't know if these young front office executives, all they are front office executives. They didn't grow up in the game of basketball. They don't know basketball. All they know is, like Dre said, analytics. They know numbers, and that's all they can do. But when it comes down to it, you got to have a feel for how the game is going. Analytics won't give you that feel.
Mm-mm.
You know, if you go for a matchup and Zubac is getting killed, you got to take him out because his man is taking advantage of him. So I think the problem with the Clippers during the playoffs was the fact that Montrezl's grandmother passed.
Mm-hmm.
They sat around for 3 months or 2 months not doing anything. Before COVID hit, the Clippers and that chemistry with Lou Williams and Montrez coming off the bench, that second team was unstoppable.
Yep.
You had 2 players up for Sixth Man of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
Once COVID hit and they had to go into the bubble, the Clippers actually did not want to be there, just like Portland. Portland was one of those teams that didn't want to be in the bubble. They said they didn't even want to play once the season ended. And once they figured out that they could probably make a push and get in, they said they wanted to play. But Portland was like, no, we're not playing. We're not putting our players at risk for this virus. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. I think, like Dre said, I don't think they're going to even continue from the Doc Rivers coaching tree. They're going to bring somebody in that can actually do something with Kawhi and Paul. And I agree with you. Mark Jackson is the guy.
He's the
He
man.
has the tools right there. Yeah.
Please, no Mike D'Antoni. Please.
Oh,
no Mike.
He should never coach again in the NBA at all, man. He's terrible. He's terrible. He ruined that Houston franchise, brother. Now they got to start all over. I understand they're going to clean house. I understand Westbrook and Harden on the trade block.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, don't think somebody can go into Miami.
The rumor is – no, the rumor is Westbrook to Milwaukee or Westbrook to New York to try to get somebody to come to New York and play with him.
Mm-hmm.
But James Harden without Mike D'Antoni is nobody.
Right.
That offense that D'Antoni ran was organized around James Harden. No coach in the league is going to allow him to have the ball as much as he had it in Houston.
I know, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, we're going to get back to the Lakers, but I do want to ask a question about Doc Rivers. What do you see him doing in Philadelphia? I mean, because he got to work at Embiid and he got to work with Simmons. Those are head cases right there.
I tell you what, he's got his work cut out for him because Doc's a good coach, and it's going to be interesting to see. I wouldn't be surprised if he brings in or has another point guard actually running the point and put Simmons closer to the basket and get Embiid's big butt closer to the basket. But it's going to be interesting to see what Doc does up there, man. They might even trade one of those players. Not saying that one of those two right now. I think they're going to see if he can make it work. But they might trade one of the other, say, one of the other guys, one of their other top, say, 5 players. They might move somebody because, like you said, those two guys, Simmons can't shoot, but he's a heck of a player. And Embiid wants to stand out there and shoot threes all night, and he's too big to do that, man. Can you picture Wilt Chamberlain and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Shaq standing out there shooting threes when they could be inside dominating? So I think Doc's going to try to impress that on them, but man.
Yeah.
Good luck, Doc.
All right, so here's the question. Lakers, who do they get rid of and who do they keep?
Man, you want me to go first?
Well,
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me look. Let me say one thing. Let me say
Okay.
one thing.
Okay.
And I put this out last night with Ced and Greg. I need the rings, or me and Dre need the rings for JaVale McGee and J.R. Smith, because they played as much as we did, and they getting free rings.
That's because I'm with LeBron's brother, man.
That's all I
and
need to say.
Dion Waiters.
But I know I'm about to. Dion Waiters didn't play at all hardly either. But you know, you got guys like Dudley over there who's just on the team this year for leadership, away from the court, to make sure they weren't partying too much. And you know, you had Cook, Quinn Cook. You know, you have a lot of cheerleaders on that team. So it's time to clean out a lot of that dead weight. Because I'll be honest with you, that supporting cast ain't as strong as it looks. On paper, some of those guys have done things, but in the playoffs, the only ones that really contributed out of the veterans was Rondo and Dwight Howard, both of mid-30s, and they both were showing out. Man, I had no idea either one of those guys had that left in them, you know. But I think you try to bring them two back. Well, Dwight's a free agent. Rondo has a player option left. I think he'll be back. I heard if he opts out, you know who wants him? Believe it or not, the Clippers, because they know they need a point guard to run that team, because they know Kawhi is not a leader. You know, they can't have him and Paul George. So I hear the Clippers are actually looking at the Laker roster, trying to see who they let go, because they also want a shot blocker. And they said they'd love to get their hands on either JaVale McGee or Dwight Howard, because they need another big guy that can block shots to go with Zubac. And then, but back to the Lakers, I think they're going to bring back DeMarcus Cousins. So if you bring Cousins back, who was injured all year, they probably going to let either Dwight or JaVale McGee walk. You got to let Danny Green's has a $14 million, $15 million he's slated to make next year. They got to try to move him some kind of way, because he started to go down. You could tell he's showing his age now. He's just not as good as he was. It's time to move on from him. Avery Bradley will be back. You know, he was a good player. So they still plan to bring him back. He's only 29 years old. They already said they're going to give him a ring, even though he opted out of the bubble. You know, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope ain't going nowhere, because that's LeBron's boy. But J.R. Smith, they'll say bye-bye to him. I wouldn't be surprised if they bring Waiters back, because Waiters, if his head is right, Waiters can score. And if you put him on the team from the beginning of the year, he could be your guy off the bench.
Right. Gotcha.
Kuzma ain't giving you nothing. I don't know. They got to retool that bench. I tell you that.
All right, got less than 2 minutes. The Golden State Warriors, what are they going to do when they come back? Because I know Draymond, I know Thompson, and I know Steph are saying, okay, y'all can have it now, but we reloading and we coming out the injury. What's going on up the road there in, of course, the city?
Don't forget, they got Andrew Wiggins on that team, too, that they had picked up last year, that they got for Russell. And then they had the kid, I can't call his name now, a forward who made the all-rookie team, first team all-rookie. He was a good player, I think out of Michigan State or somewhere, or Connecticut or somewhere. And then they got the number 2 overall pick coming up, which they're shopping it. I mean, nobody wants that pick, because look who's coming out. Nobody's coming out. So they're going to try to grab a couple of vets here and there and retool that team. Huh?
Well, they got Wiseman. They got Wiseman coming out of Memphis.
Yeah.
And he's 6'11".
I don't know how good he is, though.
He's good. Believe me, he's good. He can score whenever he wants to. He can handle a rock. He can get to the basket. He can shot block. And I'm just, you know, in that type of offense, he'll be another threat to score. He won't be a JaVale McGee. He won't be an Andrew Bogut where he's just setting picks and not. No, this cat can run. He can score, and he can block shots. It'll allow Golden State to get up and down the floor. And like I said, he's young. I mean, the dude, 6'11", that can handle a rock like Anthony Davis, and he's left-handed. So, you know, I'm looking at him. I watched him in college play at Memphis, and he's the truth. So you give him a couple of years with Steph and Clay and Draymond, man, the Warriors might have a team where they go back to where they're shutting teams down from scoring at least 85 to 90 points a game.
All right. Well, you heard it. Cedric Henry, Aundrae Russell. When we come back, we got to talk NFL football, and I do have one other basketball question that's coming up, and it has to deal with the Dallas Mavericks. Did they get damaged goods? I'll explain after the break. So keep it right here on Sports in the Mix, here on the Big Game Christian Sports Network. With the one and only Cedric Henry and Aundrae Russell. hey, we've been having fun. We've talked basketball. We talked about baseball, but we got to talk football. But before we do, man, 2 questions. Number one, I asked before the break, do you think the Mavericks got damaged goods with Kristaps Porzingis, man, for that trade with the New York?
They might have. He's one of those injury-prone players, and with him just having knee surgery, again, you don't know. I mean, time will tell. I think time will tell, but that could very, there's a lot of athletes that are just injury-prone. Look at DeMarcus Cousins, for instance. Some guys, seems like every year is something different. They're hurt. So you don't know. We'll see. Let's give him one more year, and then let's see.
They got to do something. I know I like Boban. He's a great player and everything, but he's a big man. He does do okay, but he's only going to give you so much time.
I think the Mavericks really missed the center that got hurt. Powell,
Dwight Powell.
Dwight Powell, man, he's a player, and when they lost him, that hurt them a lot.
Yeah. Sid, anything you want to say on that?
Well, once you start having knee problems in basketball, pretty much you got to get that stuff cleaned up every year. When you look at Russell Westbrook, he's had knee problems, had to go in and clean up some stuff over the last couple of years. So, the problems never go away. I think Porzingis is a little thin. He needs to strengthen his muscles up a little bit, gain about 5 pounds. That's it. He doesn't need to gain much more than that. But yeah, I think that the pounding that he takes is definitely bad on his knees, man. So I'm hoping, they can rebound from that and come back and be a threat in the West, because with him and Luka playing great, if they get Powell back, they'll make a nice run in the West and maybe be able to get a playoff spot.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, when's the draft coming up? And then what are they going to do about the upcoming season? Will we have games coming up by Christmas? What are you hearing the league is saying? Because there's 8 other teams that's trying to figure out what they're going to do.
What I've heard straight out of the bubble is that the draft is going to be next month in November. I forgot the date, around the 20th of November. But I forgot the exact date, but it's right there before Thanksgiving. And then, no, they're not going to have games by Christmas. At first, they wanted those TV games, those Christmas Day TV games to kick off the new season. But that's not going to happen. Their next wish date is on Dr. Martin Luther King Day in January. That's a wish date. Now I'm even hearing it might be pushed further back than that. But they're gonna shoot for mid-January. That's what they want to do. But we'll see.
Well, we got to figure it out. And then, are they going back to the bubble? Because the bubble, you can only get so many games in a day. But, you got these arenas. You already, like when I went to the airport the other day to try to catch a flight, man, they have eliminated the South Shuttle, the North Shuttle, and these people have lost jobs. These arena workers have lost jobs. Without another stimulus package, this is big. People are being affected in a major way.
No doubt about it. I don't know what's going to happen as far as people being in the arena. I think it's going to how coronavirus acts and how much it's still killing people and making people sick, and if the flu, piggybacks on that. I think that all remains to be seen, but I think that will determine on if the NBA opens their doors to a limited number of fans or they try to go back to the bubble situation. I think that's all that remains to be seen.
All right, well, time will tell. All right, let's shift and talk football. Let's go on the pro level, the NFL, a lot of games. Now, over the weekend, said Henry got my message that I shifted because I was sick and tired of the Dallas Cowboys. They hadn't been in a Super Bowl since 1995. And I said, man, this defense, you're playing Giants. And they barely won the game by 3 points against the Giants. And first of all, Dak Prescott, man, we didn't see the injury, which I'm glad they didn't show because I thought about Lawrence Taylor and the hit with Joe Theismann, And for
I saw it.
Your comment, please, at this time.
Yeah, it was terrible. But you know what, man? After his surgery, and I just found out, he'll be back in no longer than 6 months. So that's good. If no infection or anything sets in, he's already had the surgery. They say he'll be out 4 to 6 months. So that's way better than most people probably thought when you saw it happen. You probably thought, oh, he's out for a year or something. So 4 to 6 months, that means he'll be back in time for mini camps and stuff like that, hopefully. But
he laid it all out. Laid it all out, and Jerry has got to pay him.
Yep.
Go ahead.
You watch. Jerry Jones is not going to pay him, and now because he's going to say he's damaged goods, and we got to wait and see. Now, if he gets franchise tagged again, hey, good for him, because the franchise tag for a quarterback for him would go up from what he's making now, like over $31 million. It'll go up to over $38 million. So he'd get paid. But who knows if Jerry's going to do that, man? You never know. Jerry might cut the kid loose and let him go, let him walk. Who knows?
It depends on what Andy Dalton does with the team.
Yep. But Andy Dalton, if he was younger, if Andy Dalton was younger, Jerry Jones, I guarantee you Jerry Jones would ride with Andy Dalton. But Andy Dalton's what, mid-30s? So I don't know how long he'd ride with him. He might ride with him till he can draft a young one. You never know. Never know about your boy Jerry, Cedric Bailey.
I'm a Raider fan.
me too.
You know why? Because that brother from LSU can fly. What's his name? Rudd? What's his name?
Henry Ruggs from Alabama.
Oh, that's Alabama. That's Alabama.
Yeah, Henry Ruggs III. That boy can fly. Yeah, you're right.
They got Jacobs in the backfield in their defense. And I said, man, they going to Kansas City. You know, I know Sammy Watkins pulled a hamstring or so, but no, Chucky, John Gruden got that defense plan, and he got to do something. He got to show he really can coach and get the job done. Don't you think so?
Oh, absolutely. He has a $100 million contract. He better. And, you know, they're building the team up the right way, though. They got a lot of good young players. And Derek Carr is finally showing something. So if Derek Carr plays well, they can make some noise. They're not a championship team yet. I think they're a year away from being a contender. But they could sneak into the playoffs possibly, you know, or some. But, yeah, they got a good young team, and I like the way they're building their team up. I really do.
All right. Sid, Henry, any comments on the Cowboys?
Man, you know how I feel about Dallas. Dallas is Dallas. I mean, 31st in defense. I mean, you sat there and you watched that game, and Dak's injury was similar to Hearn's injury when he played for Dallas. Alan Hearns, when he dislocated his ankle the same way. So Hearns made it back, like Dre said, in 6 months. So, you know, I still think I agree with Dre. Jerry's going to franchise him again to see how he plays. And then, you know, what my thing is, Dak will be auditioning for another team. Because, I mean, Atlanta, Matt Ryan sucks. You know, to pay him all that money, he sucks. You're looking at Sam Darnold, he sucks. And a lot of these coaches and players don't understand. When you have an offensive line that can't block, your quarterback is dead. They're not going to protect him. So the thing that I love about, and this is my surprise team, and I said this last week about Allen from the Bills, is he knows his line is not great. He's not afraid to run. And that's what you have to have. You have to have a quarterback that realizes and says, I know my line can't hold a block for 4 seconds. I got to get out of here. And if that route is not open, I got to take off and make some yards. So Allen is good. Daniel Jones sucks. You know, without Saquon Barkley, without a good running back, the Giants suck. Devontae Freeman, he was doing okay. But heck, he was not even in the league last week, and they signed him.
Right.
You know, Dan Quinn should have been fired 2 years ago.
No doubt about it.
2 or 3 years ago. Arthur Blank tried to hold on to him. Bill O'Brien should have been gone 2 or 3 years ago.
Yep.
You know, Romeo Crennel won his first game yesterday, and J.J. Watt said how much fun he had yesterday playing. Right. So you got these guys who are in the NFL, and they get chance after chance after chance. Quiet is kept. If Dallas lost yesterday, Mike McCarthy should have been gone.
You're right.
Because Dallas right now should be 0-5. Dallas right now should be 0-5.
You're right.
They've won two games on field goals where the teams didn't even show up to play. So, I mean, you're looking at the Cowboys 0-5 right now. They're leading their division at 2-3. How bad is the NFC East? Oh my gosh!
Washington football
that division sucks.
They brought Alex Smith out. Did y'all see that? That was horrible. What's his name? Haskins, quarterback, the young man. Yeah. Ohio State.
Yeah.
He was benched.
They relegated him to third string, so you know they don't plan to play him anymore. Man, that's terrible. Yeah. They drafted the kid in the first round. Now he's third string, so obviously he's out of their plans. You know, they've got Alex Smith out of the hospital to play. They brought him in from the hospital yesterday. Put him on there. You know.
And they just made a brother in charge of operations up there.
Right.
He better call Ozzie Newsome.
You know.
So I'm going to tell you, and by the way, 49ers got embarrassed by Fitzmagic. Boy, didn't the Dolphins put it on him there? How does that guy do it, man? How does he do it?
Just a veteran, you know, like you say, people like him, and he's just a veteran, man. Some, you know, the veterans know how to get it done. He like Rondo with the Lakers. Look how much Lakers wouldn't have won without Rondo. So Fitzpatrick goes in there, and wherever he goes,
you're right.
Yep. Just like the quarterback with the Bears now.
Nick Foles.
Yeah, just like Nick Foles. Yeah.
And also you have to. Also, you got to look at the Bill Belichick coaching tree.
Yeah.
Flores is building that team just like Bill Belichick built the Patriots. Yeah. So they're out there having fun. They're out there flying around. Everybody was like, "Oh man, Flores is not going to do anything with the Dolphins." Quiet as kept. The Bills and the Dolphins are the Bills are right behind. I mean, the Dolphins are right behind the Bills in that AFC East over there. So
wait, hold on a second.
It's going to be a tough division, even though the Patriots
said I got laughed at by Greg Hyman because I said Miami was going to be doing something this year. Didn't I get laughed at? Huh? Greg, listen,
you did.
I'm going to tell you, it's something about Miami. I see in them. They're going to get better as time, so don't go to sleep on them. Hey, but listen, I got 3 or 4 minutes left. Best team in the NFL, I'm going to go with Seattle. Of course, with Russell Wilson. Did you see what he did against the Vikings in the rain?
Oh, yeah. He's
that dude.
In the NFC, I got only two teams. It's the Packers or the Seahawks. Those are the best 2 teams in the NFC, in my opinion. But Russell Wilson, man, he's amazing. He reminds you of some of those old school quarterbacks. He just don't lose games.
Lockett, who was he hitting that ball to? Metcalf, wasn't it?
Yeah, the kid out of didn't he go to where did he go to Alabama? Clemson? That big receiver. That kid. No, Ole Miss. Ole Miss. That big boy, he's a beast. And Russell Wilson said he thinks he could be another Jerry Rice. He said that about Metcalf.
So NFC, you're going with the Seahawks and the Packers. Okay.
Yeah. But I think the AFC is wide open. I think the AFC's got about 5 or 6 teams, man. You got the Ravens. Of course, they're tough. You got the Steelers still undefeated, which I'm surprised at because with old Roethlisberger. But they got a really good, solid team, and Mike Tomlin's, a good coach. You got Kansas City, of course, who just got beat down by the Raiders yesterday. And, I mean, now my memory escapes me, but you got a couple other good AFC teams as well. Tennessee Titans.
If Cam can play with the Patriots and get out there, Cam can make that thing go. We already seen why they got him now, and they're going to pay him because they already seen that Stidham is not the answer.
No. And the Tennessee Titans are a good, solid team too. They don't have a lot of big names. Oh, I know the other team is the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, the Bills and the Titans, man. So you got a lot of teams in the AFC, I think, that could make a lot of noise.
Wow. So what about the Who Dat Nation, and what about the Saints?
I don't have them in my group, man. I heard it's a mess in their locker room. They're not really crazy about Drew Brees after some of the stuff he said in the offseason. So their chemistry ain't what it used to be.
Is Jameis Winston on the team?
Yes. No. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. He's the number 2 quarterback.
Yeah. But Michael Thomas is not playing. Michael Thomas is not playing tonight because he got into an altercation with one of his teammates.
Right.
So the thing is, if you're fighting with your teammates, they're getting you out of there. That's what happened to Earl Thomas in
Baltimore.
In Baltimore.
Yep.
Well, all right.
So I agree with.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I agree with Dre, the Packers, and Seattle. I still think Mahomes and Kansas City is the best in the AFC. When they got all of their parts going, you can't stop them. I mean, I think Andy Reid has to do more to get Tyreek Hill involved. But when you got Sammy Watkins, Davenport, and Hill out there, and you got Kelsey in the middle, they're tough to stop.
Wow. Hey, I got 1 minute left. Pac-12 football. What's the word on the Pac-12, USC, UCLA? What's going on with them, Aundrae?
Well, the Pac-12 teams are just starting to practice. They just started practicing about 4 or 5 days ago. So their first game is still a few weeks away. So we'll see. They're getting, they're way behind the rest of the country and the rest of the team. So I don't know what's going to happen at the end of the year, but we'll see. We'll see. Pac-12 just about to get underway.
If you had to send a message to Go Tigers LSU, what would you tell Ed Oregon?
Ed in trouble, man. They got another tough game this week too. You know,
Who they play?
They play
Florida.
Florida,
The Gators,
yeah.
baby.
They got a tough
The
game
Gators.
man, this week. I was like, ooh wee. So LSU got that championship hangover, brother. I don't know about them. I don't know.
Wow.
Did you see the standings? You know they got Ohio State ranked number 6 in the nation. They ain't played a game yet.
No, I didn't see that, man. What? That's crazy.
It's been a crazy season. Hey, listen, fellas, we got to go. We're out of here. Get ready for the parade, man. So when's the parade going to be? Are they going to do that, or how are they going to do the parade now?
Haven't heard yet, but it's probably going to be some virtual. I know they're not going to, because these people out here, man, you'd have 10 million people at a parade. So I don't know. They haven't announced anything yet.
Yeah.
I'll let you guys know, though, as soon as I hear.
I see it right there. And by the way, what are they saying about Kamala out there? Did you watch the debate, man? Did she give him that mama look with them pearls? Did she give it?
Kamala's a beast. And Kamala lives here in L.A. now. People don't realize that. She lives here in L.A. She lives in Brentwood, where OJ used to reside. But no, man, Kamala's a beast, buddy. She's a beast. And she wanted to I know she wanted to hit that fly on his head with a piece of wood. Not a swatter, get a stick and beat him upside the head. Man.
Y'all go vote. You heard what they said. Hey, Aundrae Russell, Cedric Henry hanging out with us, talking sports here on the Big Game Christian Sports Network. Thanks a lot, fellas. We'll catch you next time. More to come, so keep it right here.
Vote, y'all. Vote.
Most definitely.